What's up, everybody? It's Nevan Osburn with the Nevan Osburn Fishing Podcast. Today we're here with...
I'm Noah Miller.
Here with Noah Miller. He's a great high school angler here around Texas. He's been a hammer. We're going to talk to him about how his high school experience has been. He actually holds the junior record smallmouth in Texas. Absolute hammer. We're mainly going to talk to him. This is the first episode of the podcast. We're going to have a bunch of people on, so if y'all recommend anybody hopping on the podcast, just let us know. We'll have them hop on. I'm trying to make this a daily thing. Trying to post the podcast about once every day, twice a day, but I'm going to try to keep doing it between tournaments. Got to leave on Tuesday, go back to St. Lawrence, but between now and then we're going to try to between college work and tournaments. So Noah Miller, go ahead and introduce yourself. Who are you? Where are you from? All of that.
I'm Noah. I am from the Northwestern Hills area. So Eagle Mountain, Lake Grapevine, to Big Brook-ish, where I fish a lot. I go to Burkeville High School, but I fish on the Keller High School team since Burkeville doesn't have one. So yeah, do a lot of fishing on Eagle Mountain, Grapevine, places like that. Some smaller lakes, don't have any big famous ones, but I've spent a lot of time on Fork too. So we have a little place out there we get out to and spend quite a bit of time on Fork in the past few years.
Sweet, man. Tell me about your high school fishing. What do you think about it? I know you're going to be an incoming senior here soon, so tell me what you're thinking about next season. Tell me how your last season has gone, overall high school experience.
So I've had a great experience. It's been an awesome learning experience of fishing tournaments with my dad, growing up, but nothing too crazy, just like the Tuesday, Thursday nighters. But freshman year, had a rough open tournaments. Barely scraped in to go to regionals, and then regionals on Texoma is where I caught the big smallmouth, and that really it just gave me that extra motivation to do better and better myself, and it really helped me fall in love with the sport even more. Sophomore year, definitely a really rough season. Made it to regionals, but you know how it goes. Didn't get those bites to make it to state, and then this last year was the best season we've had so far. Did great in the open tournaments. Had a seventh place finish, and then fourth place on Lake Whitney. Did really good there. Went to regionals on PK. Finished 12th or 13th there. Then had second place big bass there, and then made it to state, and we did all right at state. Didn't do great, but I was proud of my performance. That is all that really matters, especially in the mental game. That's what a lot of fishing is about, is that mental game. So.
Right, for sure. I heard that PK tournament was pretty rough. I heard it got pretty western out there. Why don't you tell me about that?
Yeah, that it was for sure. I went out and fished, pre-fished for the Texas Bass Nation tournament out there. That was 3 weeks before that, I think. I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, but it was something like that. And had I was kind of treating this pre-fishing for the high school tournament too, but it had 25 pounds that Friday before. Did great, and then got out there tournament day for Texas Bass Nation, and our trolling motor was dead. Didn't get to fish that tournament. It sucked, but had to replace some of the boards and stuff in there, all the mechanical stuff. But came back PK for that high school tournament. I was just planning on doing the same thing. Everybody out there was they wanted to bed fish, and we launched from North D&D, stayed on the north end of the lake, and instead of bed fishing, we went to the dirty water and were dragging bluff walls with shaky heads and stuff like that, doing stuff that the other people weren't. We saw maybe 3 or 4 boats all day. We went up and down one wall just, doing that kind of stuff. And hitting like some offshore boulders and stuff like that. And it was great up until like 9:30, and then you could see the rain coming in across the lake. You could just, heard it before you saw it, and you saw it before it hit you. It got bad. It got, blowing 20 miles an hour. It was one of those days, but, we fished it until we grinded it out, and then our rod tips started buzzing because of the lightning, and we were like, I don't know about that. We had our limit. We had I think it was like 16 pounds, something like that. So we felt that we had what we needed to make the cut for state, so we just went ahead and went in about 1 o'clock. It was a great tournament.
Gotcha, man. Yeah, so me personally, I know a lot of y'all know this probably watching, but I fish PK a lot. And I feel like that northern is just a super slept on area of the lake. I know a lot of the double digits, and a lot of times when people go out there, they're mainly focused on that southern end. And like Noah said, like when it's bed fishing season, a lot of people want to go to the southern end on the clear end so they can bed fish and really sight fish them. But I think it's really cool that you actually did figure out on the north end. I know a lot of guys that have tried to work out in the north end, and it's a trickier part of the lake for sure, but there's still high quality bass. How big was that second place big bass you got?
I believe it was around 6.5. I don't remember the exact one, but it was around 6.5 for sure.
That's sweet.
That was on Whitney. So
that's sweet.
Whitney had a 4th place finish there. That was a fun lake too.
Yeah.
It was tough. Getting away from the striker, that was the hard one.
Oh yeah, that lake is just plumb full of them, man.
And everywhere you went, there were stripers. So, but I'd never been there before. I didn't get the free fishing. We just went in there blind and stumbled on a ledge out there. And there's a lot of controversy around forward facing sonar,
Right.
I mean, there's just stuff you never know that was there without
For sure.
it. And I just happened to pan over, and this ledge was like a stair step.
Really?
It had 3 stairs.
Gotcha.
And you could see them. The big ones were on the bottom stair, and then they were just plumb full of like those 14 to 16 inches on the second stair.
Right.
And so we never could get the big ones to bite. Other than that 6.5, I caught him on a drop shot, but I couldn't really. We threw everything at them, and they kind of look at it. You can see them kind of come up off the bottom just a little bit, but we wore them 14 and 16 inches out.
Oh yeah. For sure, man. Whitney's a fun lake. When I was fishing back a lot in Texas, that's where I used to fish. There's a lot of good fish in there. A lot of 10-pounders, but there's also a key smallmouth population in there. I feel like it's probably the 2nd or 3rd best smallmouth lake in my opinion there. And it's overall a really good area of the lake. It's typically a clear lake, like Noah said, just plumb full of striper. If y'all ever have the opportunity, I highly recommend y'all going out there. But talking about smallmouth, let's talk about this record smallmouth you have back in Texas, because that's pretty legit. I know I like to go up to St. Lawrence, catch a lot of big smallmouth, but you happen to do it in Texas, which catching a big smallmouth in Texas can be pretty tricky. It's a lot warmer than up north, and they just don't typically get as big. So why don't you discuss that for us as well?
So I'll give you a little bit of backstory. I had never really caught smallmouth, and then me and my dad went up to Wisconsin on a family vacation with my mom, and we just happened to be up there, and we were like, let's just get a guide for a half day and just see what we can catch. We wanted to go up there and catch some muskies,
right?
Because we had never done that, but ended up being the wrong time of the year. I had no knowledge about it. So we went up there with a guide, and he got us on some smallmouth, and I fell in love. I mean, they fight so much harder. They hit so much harder. They don't quit. It's a 2-pound smallmouth feels like you're fighting 4.5, 5-pound.
Oh yeah.
Especially on the light line, spinning gear. It's just awesome. That guy there had introduced me to finesse fishing. I never done that before. I grew up fishing on Lake Fork, and we were throwing 3/4 ounce, half ounce jigs, 11, 10.5-inch power worms, especially the Berkeley power worms. I love throwing those through those 8.5-inch all the time. Throwing the, half ounce lipless crankbaits around the grass, finding the grass. That's just what I grew up doing. I didn't know how to really fish anything else. But this guy, he had me throwing the drop shot and the wacky worm and the jerk baits, and I had never done any of that, and I fell in love. I mean, it was so much fun. And I came back to Texas and tried to, recreate that, and it was tough because the lakes just don't set up the same way.
Right.
You have the grass and the rocks, but they're not the same. It's not the same type of grass, and those fish don't relate to that type of grass the same way they do. If you had grass like those lakes up north do, if those border strain bass get in there, you could throw a frog all day long and fish 40 fish.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just not, they don't relate to it the same up here. I don't know if it's the climate or, the water temperature that does that. I'm not sure. But that's definitely the way it is. And so it took me probably 2-3 years to really figure out where those smallmouth were in Texas. I did so much research, staying up, looking at Navionics or, the Garmin mapping, just looking at research, watching YouTube videos and stuff like that. I just wanted to know. Yeah, we didn't have none of the electronics. We had a 5-inch Lowrance little thing. You didn't even have side scan, just bounce scan. And we had just got the live scope. I didn't really know how to use it yet. It was pretty new with the LVS 32 9-inch screen, and then we had it on the crappie pole. We didn't even have it on the trolling motor. We had it on the crappie pole. And we had been to all the spots on Texoma that we knew about. We could not buy a bite. And suddenly, I picked up the jerkbait right here. It's the 6 cents per boat, the 110. And it's something else, man. I've used all of the jerkbaits out there, and this is definitely my favorite one. This is the one I used in Wisconsin 3 years before, and I picked this thing up, and I don't know, maybe 20 minutes later, it was windy, and I just, chunked up against this ledge that I found with the live scope, or I didn't find it with the live scope until later. I went back and, had grabbed it out and looked and see what that fish was related to, but I threw this up, I could see with my eyes the shelf. And so I threw it up parallel with the shelf and, just jerking it and pausing it. And on the pause, you just felt her absolutely smack it. And I went to cranking, to the sweeping hook set. You can't really, you don't really have a feel for how big a fish is when you kind of just like sweep the hook set, especially on a lighter rod. You can't really feel them when they just load up. A 2-pounder feels the same as a 5-pounder does. And so she's running straight at me. I have no idea what I have. I thought I had, just a 2-pound bass, what I was used to catching out there. Had never caught a smallmouth in Texas. I really hadn't figured them out until this year, my freshman year. And as soon as I reeled down on that fish, I knew what it was. I knew it was fighting like a smallmouth. I knew it wasn't a largemouth as soon as I gained attention. And we got her in the net. It all happened so fast. We got her in the net, and I knew it was big. I didn't know how big it was. I didn't really know how to, gauge smallmouth with my eyes. But I knew it was big. I was talking to my dad. I had my GoPro running. I have the footage of me getting in the net and freaking out. My dad was up there with me. We were high-fiving, hugging. It was awesome just because we had seen all our work come together right there, especially in a big tournament like that. It was cool.
Right.
But we had we thought it was about 4 pounds. We didn't have a scale on our boat at that time.
Oh, wow.
So we just threw her in the live well and we were like, it's a 4-pounder, that's great. Kept on fishing. That ended up being the only fish we caught that day. Was that one smallmouth. We caught, a bunch of hybrids and a bunch of striper. Couldn't get away from them. On this jerkbait, there's teeth marks all over the place. And went away in, and I put her in the basket to, get checked and everything. And the guy was like, "You need to check this for lake record." And
oh, wow.
Like, is it that big? And he's like, "This is the biggest smallmouth I've ever seen."
Wow.
I didn't realize it was that big, but we went up to weigh her, and it ended up being 583.
That's a giant, dude. That is a giant smallmouth.
Yeah, I did not realize how big it was.
That's crazy, man.
We had to stay, Mr. Matt Tolme, the director of our tournaments and the division, our regional division. We stayed after, and he got me, helped me fill out all the paperwork. We got it submitted to Texas Parks and Wildlife. And on the way home, I was looking, and I just thought it was, the junior lake record for Texoma. I beat it by like 1.5 pounds.
Right.
And I got to looking, and it ended up the previous state record was the lake record on Texoma.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was awesome. I've been talking to Texas Parks and Wildlife about they do the share lunker.
Right.
The same way they do with largemouth. They do it with smallmouth too in Texas, which I didn't know about.
Yeah, I didn't even know about that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a cool, crazy cool program. That fish ended up being donated.
Oh, wow.
They did genetic testing on it, so it's been awesome. It's since been back released into Texoma, but
sweet.
I don't know what they did, with the eggs or whatever. I know they do that with largemouth. I don't know what they did with that smallmouth, but I mean it lit a fire in me, man.
That's awesome, man.
One experience that got me, put my name out there. I got, my sponsors. I have, companies reaching out to me, working with them, and baits and Instagram mentions and stuff like that. It was just that one cast. That one cast got me all these opportunities, and it's just crazy to think that before I was just grinding for a bite and grinding to fish, and you just put in the work and you get the rest out of it. It's a cool experience, man.
Oh, for sure. I think a lot of fishing and just a lot in general right now is just putting in the work and time. I mean, if I could recommend one thing to everybody watching, is just go out there, put your head down and grind. Like, there's so many people in the sport now that, yeah, they have the opportunities. Yeah, they might not have them. They might have a nicer boat than you. They might have nicer rods. They might have nicer than everything. But if that kid's barely working and you're working your tail off, you will figure it out. Hard work will excel no matter where you are, no matter what you do. If it's fishing, welding, whatever, just hard work in general, you will rise to the top. And that's where I really wanted to bring Noah on. I know Noah just really works his tail off, man. He is a great fisherman. I fished against him when I was back in high school. I was actually at the Texoma tournament. I barely squeaked in. I think I made that state cut by 3 spots. Caught 1 4.5 largemouth, and that was it. But I do remember seeing the smallmouth, man. I was just like, man, that thing is a giant. Because before that, I've never really smallmouth fished either. Before I really hit the MLF Toyota series or anything like that, I've never experienced smallmouth. But this last summer, I really went up to Champlain, St. Lawrence, experienced all the smallmouth, and it is an amazing thing. If y'all ever have the chance to really go chase smallmouth, I highly recommend it. Because like Noah said, a 2-pound smallmouth might find like a 4-pound largemouth. I kid you not, the 6-pounders I've caught on St. Lawrence fight just as hard, if not even harder than this 12-pounder. They jump, they go crazy, they're super hard fighting. And especially on a jerkbait like Noah caught, it can be very sketchy sometimes because they will jump 4 or 5 foot out of the water. Like you said, with the finesse rods, your drop shots, your Ned rigs, stuff like that, it could get really sketchy sometimes, but it's really fun really fun deal. You said you're an incoming senior. Just talk to me what you think about going into next season. What lakes are you fishing? What are you excited about? How are you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good. I'm ready for the season to start, man. I'm really excited that they don't have too many tournaments during November and December because I'm a big deer hunter.
Right.
That was always frustrating. I didn't get to spend as much time in the woods as I wanted to, but I'm excited, especially with the list of lakes this year. Starting off on Ray Roberts. I love that lake. There's some big smallmouth in that lake too.
Oh yeah.
A lot of people don't know about it. A lot of people, associate that lake with the big trees.
Right.
And the largemouth, you associate like trees and grass with largemouth. But
right.
Those smallmouth, they can get in the trees too, and they can get in the grass especially. It's different catching them. It's very different because you have to fish very, unorthodox to catch them in the trees. That's what I love doing you can go out, we used to catch a lot of fish at night on Lake Fork, burning square bills or weight baits through the trees and hitting them off of it because, Lake Fork's full of trees.
Right.
But that's a great way to get some bites on Ray Roberts, getting in the trees and throwing like square bills and those reaction baits, just burn them over their heads. And there's some other sneaky ways you can catch some fish like that, especially on those unorthodox lakes for smallmouth. I'm excited for Eagle Mountain. I fish that lake a lot. I didn't get to fish it in Texas Bass Nation. I had a Texas High School Bass Association tournament. I didn't get to fish that one, but I was pretty disappointed. The weights looked pretty dang good.
Oh yeah, it was very fun.
At that tournament, it looked fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm excited to fish that this year. That's in October. Great time of the year. A lot of smallmouth on Eagle Mountain too.
Right.
I don't know if there's big ones in there. I'm sure there is. There's huge largemouth.
Oh, huge largemouth.
I'm sure there's big. I've caught small ones, but I'm sure there's big smallmouth in Eagle Mountain too. I wouldn't be surprised if somebody pulled out one, 4.5, 5 pounds out of there in October. That's the perfect time of the year to catch them. Is that late fall and super early spring is perfect. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm ready to fish, man. I'm ready for some cooler weather too.
Oh yeah. Oh, for sure, man. It's been hot down here. That's mainly why I've been in New York, not only because smallmouth run, the weather is a lot nicer. And that's actually where I'm filming. I actually just moved over to Shreveport for college, LSUS, joined their fishing team, everything. And even back home, it's hot. When you come over here, man, the humidity is killer. I think like today, it was 102 and it felt like 113 or just something insane like that, man. It gets humid. But what are your plans after high school, man? You thinking about fishing college, maybe hopping to Opens, Toyotas? What are you thinking?
I'd love to keep fishing. I know that's what I want to do, as a career.
Sorry, everybody, again. The camera keeps shutting off like every 10 minutes or so. I'll figure out for next episode, but keep going on about how you like the new challenge and everything like that.
Yeah, I love figuring out the puzzle, man. I love, it sucks fishing, 2 or 3 days for, 5 or 6 bites a day, and they may not be the bites you need or the bites you want.
Right.
And that one day you're just like, all right, let's do this. Let's try this. Let's try this. And then finally you figure out how those fish are in the area, why they're in the area they're in, and why they're eating what bait. Or you get those little signs that I love it. And I don't know what that means for my future. I'd like to fish in college, but I'm also looking at marine mechanics trade school.
Sweet.
I like, that's another thing. You're still figuring out the puzzle just on a boat or, maybe working on like the ATVs, UTVs and stuff. Cause I love to hunt. I love to be outside in the woods. It just, would give me a lot of connections in the industry, and like, you know, boats are always broken.
Right.
There's something wrong with
Oh yeah, boats.
So,
No matter what, they break.
It's always expensive too.
Oh, yeah.
Never cheap.
Oh
So,
yeah.
It saved me a lot of time and a lot of money if I knew how to do it myself.
Right. And there's a lot of money to be made in it. Like, a lot of mechanics I know make a lot of money, especially either working on outboards, rigging out boats, stuff like that. They do make quite a bit of money. That would be a very good thing to go in, especially around DFW and the area we live in. It's a huge, fast and growing sport. Like you said, Lake Fork, where you're from, man, dude, there's constantly boats breaking down. Everyone's hitting stumps, all kinds of stuff. So that would be a great thing to go into, man.
And with all the electronics and stuff, I mean, when I first got it, I didn't know how to set it up. We need somebody to come out and show us the ins and outs of it and how to tune it and all of this, because there's just, you know, symbols and letters and stuff like that I don't know what they mean.
Right.
And there's a lot of confusion there, and, you know, everybody wants to get into the forward-facing sonar and the side scan, but they don't realize it's not just an automatic thing. You have to work on that forever. You know, you have to dial it in, and then you have to dial it in every time you get on the water.
Right.
Every different body of water requires different settings.
Oh, yeah.
People are like, hey, can I get your settings? Hey, can I get, you know, what gain is your light scope on? You know, it's stuff like that, and I thought it was that way too. I mean, there's nothing wrong with things like that. It's very misunderstood thing.
Oh, yeah.
But that's a great place to have a lot of money in it too, is the electronic side.
Oh, yeah. Oh, for sure, man. Like, rigging out electronics, everything is getting so expensive now. Units are getting expensive. Like you said, just rigging a boat's getting expensive and dialing them in. But, I mean, either if you go pro and want to fish like that, go fish in college, go do your marine work. I think all three of those are great. I mean, I think those are all three cool deals to go into. You know, I appreciate you having on the podcast, Noah. I know this was like, we're kind of shooting at night here. This is going to be the first episode, hoping for more, but I appreciate you having y'all. Highly recommend anybody and everybody go check out Noah. I'm going to leave his links all in the description of this video. I'm going to be making a post on Instagram, Facebook, everything like that. We'll probably collab on the post, so y'all have him to follow there. But y'all check on him, follow him. He's up and coming. Absolute hammer around DFW. And like you said, it's one of the very few guys I truly do know in Texas, of all states, that do chase smallmouth, and he is very successful at it. So if you're looking into that, or if you're even looking to book a trip, go catch your PB smallmouth on Texas. Noah's your guy to go to. So thank you for having me, man. I appreciate you. This is the first episode. I think it's going to be a pretty cool episode, but I appreciate you having us, Noah.
Yeah, thank y'all too. It's good talking to you.
Sweet, man.